That is a crazy story. I can't believe they're going to try and do this right now.
Spotify, dude. I mean, come on. This is okay. So I mean, the weird thing about this here is so obviously Spotify they filed a patent. This patent was filed back in 2018, by the way, so it was just granted, like on the 12th of January. But anyway, it's like for speech recognition, Now, that's not unusual because, I mean, Apple with Siri, Alexa, Google Home, all that works. But is that is did you hear Alexa?
There you go.
Minute, you need to, exactly. Oh my goodness. There you go. Right. See, it's working. There you go. But it's not anything, it's not new, but I mean, they're using it with their products and, it's just a whole ecosystem. This is just one specific product, a streaming service.
Yeah.
So,
and so I think they're trying to figure out a new way to use their streaming service to compete with the assistants that we have, which we can't mention because they're going to go off right now. But so I think that they're trying to use, to leverage whatever stuff they're getting, because they have to, Amazon has their own thing and Apple has their own thing, and they have their own music services as well. And I think that, I think especially for Spotify, they made a huge gamble on podcasts, and so far it hasn't paid off. So they're trying to make another reason why you need the service, and this looks like it's it. Eavesdropping.
A big data grab. But, it's weird because it's like, again, Apple has a complete ecosystem built around Siri. They have phones, they have a watch, they have computers, they have laptops, they have, iMacs. They have Apple Home speakers. This is devices and software. This is just a software, a music streaming service. So one of the real interesting things about this here is they speak about, retrieving, they call it environmental metadata, which is like, if you're looking at this here, it's just like, okay, maybe there's a bus or a metro near you or something like that. Maybe there is a coffee shop. I mean, so they're not just picking up your voice. They're also picking up.
They're getting everything. What are you doing? Who's doing it next to you? Everything.
If it's weird, but, and a lot of Hollywood did this sort of stuff. They were like, hey, the CIA analysts would say, like even in the Bourne, supremacy and things like that, or Ultimatum, they would say, right, they're like, okay, wait a minute, there's a bus, passing by, they hear it in the audio recording. This is what they're doing,
Well, this is the thing is that it's not new technology. This has been around for 20, 30 years almost, that this kind of stuff is available. Now they're just making it so that it's for everyday use now. And I think that's the difference, because I think the government's been using this kind of thing for a while to track people, but it hasn't been for commercial use yet. And I think people are comfortable to some degree. I shouldn't go overboard with this, but to some degree, if the government's catching bad guys with this kind of thing, people were like, you know what, do what you got to do. But when it shifted over to, Amazon and all this other stuff, when they made it their own assistants, people were kind of skeeved out about it. And I used to do, back when we had business, I used to do office parties and corporate stuff, and giving away the personal devices was one of the biggest prizes they give away. Everybody's super excited to get one. And, it was always this potential that you can use it for. And realistically, it's what's the weather? Turn the lights down and play some music. That's really what they're using it for. Right? And if you got to close the door, maybe. But the idea was, well, we're gonna fix your bed or whatever, like this extra stuff. And the extra stuff hasn't come, and they're just expanding it. They're adding it to everything now. But I want the extra stuff. I want to fix my bed. I want to close the windows. I want the you know what I'm saying? Give me the extra stuff. I don't want this listening thing. But you can't get around it right now. It's coming. Your phone is doing it too. So
But how does like you knowing if I live near a bus or a metro station or a coffee shop, how does that help with you selecting, recommending music to me? I don't get that. It's just, I mean, it's one thing to say, hey, when someone requests or asks to play a song, we then have the ability to just analyze their voice, nothing else around them, right? Even though you'll pick that up, right? So it's just like we can analyze their voice, and based on their voice and just AI collecting all this data and saying, hey, based on what we've collected, this person sounds sad. Let's play or recommend this song. It seems a little creepy to me. Again,
I
Apple,
agree.
They all do it.
Agree.
Right.
They all do it.
Right.
Did you see the other part about this is that Spotify was looking into seeing if you were driving near a school district to play slow music or calming music so you don't drive fast in this area. And I'm like, you're doing too much. I want to be able to search for some music. And, Jay-Z, play Jay-Z song. That's what I want Spotify to do.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be concerned about my mood or whatever. If I want to hear sad songs, I'll play sad, but I'm not going to ask you to do that. Like, I think that's a little bit that's a bridge too far for me.
That is completely ridiculous. Again, it's just, and I said this, I recorded a short video about this, just my thoughts.
Yeah,
it's not even about providing the music to their customers, us who are paying. I don't use Spotify. I don't pay for Spotify, even though I have a free account. But I don't understand how that sort of information helps me listen to music.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. And I think people should really, really, really realize that, all of this stuff that they're collecting, all the $9.99 that we pay for, a monthly subscription or something like that, that's nothing. They don't care. That's nothing. They're not making money.
Yeah. We're the products.
Yeah, right. Exactly. $9.90. It's like, you know what? We don't care about what you pay. We'll give it to you for $4.99. We want your data.
Yeah.
We want your
that's
data.
Really what it comes down to.
It's data. That's it. So I don't get that. So it's just, a lot of these software companies and these, programmers and AI engineers, trying to, just act like they're ethical, but they're really not, because it's all about data again.
Yeah. Well, I've been complaining about, especially for DJ software for a minute, I've been complaining that we're going to go to service base. And all of a sudden, they're just going to start utilizing it to collect data rather than pay. Here's a platform for you to play two songs together with.
Right.
We've moved past that. And so far, Virtual DJ is doing a service thing. Rekordbox is doing some kind of service thing. I think Serato is next.
No.
And definitely, I think here's the other thing, too. Because Tractor got sold, I think Tractor is going to do it now. I absolutely think that's coming. Yeah. And all of them are going to switch over, because I was looking at this thing before. I think I did a video about this about a year or two ago. And, they don't make enough money from making the software for all the new features and the stuff they're trying to do research and development on. So initially, when it was just, hey, we need to create this software to play two songs together, that didn't cost too much money to do. Somebody could do that in their bedroom. Now, when you say, okay, well, we want this AI thing to separate the audio and the track. We want to be able to make this flip thing so that we can take parts of the song and loop it and create a brand new song from that. Or we want to make beats on the fly with your music player or whatever. Once you've added this extra stuff in there, it costs more to do, and they don't make enough money from that one sale that you made. So I pay for Serato when I bought my SL1. And then I paid for Serato again when I bought my SL3. And technically I paid for it again when I bought the S9. But, I've had 3 licenses technically from
Wait a minute.
products.
How does that work? I mean, like, I know wait, you had...
No, when you buy the gear from Rain,
right,
Serato was free for you.
Right.
So technically, they Rain paid the licensing fee to Serato.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have one account. So anytime you buy a new Rane product, you're saying that you have to buy Serato again?
No, you don't buy for it again. But I'm saying that you paid the money to Serato.
Oh, right. Just buying their gear, right?
The licensing fee, you've paid that to Serato. So that treats it as one sale. I have 3 major gear from Serato, and they had 3 different licensing things for it. So I paid it 3 times. I paid for Tractor 2 times. But which is better, monthly or paying for it one time? And just using this one thing for until you buy a new one or whatever. Which
and
is
not
better.
To mention, with isn't it also that you're getting Serato Lite?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you get like Serato's like a free version almost. But like, for these companies, especially people, a lot of DJs don't upgrade their gear every year like a new MacBook. They buy that one thing and it goes until the wheels fall off, and then they buy something new. So there's a little gap between the revenue, and I think this is the same thing for Spotify. There's the gap between the revenue, and they're trying to figure out a way to make it more valuable for either to help the stock prices or just to make, because Spotify has competition they didn't really have before. Tidal is making moves, Amazon is making moves, Apple is making moves. Even if you add BeatSource in there's all these streaming services who offer the exact same thing they do, especially if you're the average Joe Schmo user. For Spotify, every DJ service has all the songs that you need, the basics. If you're looking for the pop song on the radio, it's there. And so, Spotify comes in when I'm looking for this rare jazz song. Like maybe Tidal won't have that, or they may get it later on. But Spotify for sure has it. And, maybe, BeatSource doesn't have it, but they may get it once in a while.
BeatSource won't have it.
Oh, for sure, without a doubt.
I mean, they have like 6 million, 9 million,
yeah, I know. They're
tracks,
they're getting started. They're getting rolling on things.
They'll,
but the point is, Spotify has it, and so they're getting competition that they didn't have before, and they're coming up with real reasons for you to need it. Podcast was the one thing they're trying to get you to use it for, and now they're trying to do this new thing. And I don't know. I think this is terrible.
It's terrible.
I don't like this at all.
I mean, how are they not making money? They have 320 million global users. I don't see how they're not making money. I mean, obviously they have to pay the majors, right?
Spotify's a Ponzi scheme. All of these things are Ponzi schemes.
How are you not making money? You have 320 million global users. Let's just say that 5%, 10% of those only use the free version, which you still get ads, so you're making money on, you're monetizing that on ads as well. So I don't see how they're not making money or they're not profitable, but, now they're doing a Facebook like, hey, we want more data to sell. So,
well, I think this ties closely into the next story is the Gary Newman, the car singer. He was complaining that he had 1 million streams and he only made $37. And so when you look at that, like that doesn't add up. That math doesn't work out. How do you have 1 million streams on this service and only make $37? Something is wrong here.
That is, we spoke about this previously, but Spotify is what is Spotify doing? How are we as artists, as, producers, just people in the music? I'm not talking about, the sort of companies, the majors, because they're all about like, just screwing the artists as well, right? But how can we not understand that? I mean, Spotify is like worse than like the labels back in the day.
It is the worst streaming service when it comes to money.
They're giving you like 1 point, like 0.0057 cents per stream.
Yeah.
And the guy from Cars, he's just like, well, wait a minute. Wow. This is something new to him too, right?
Yeah. Because if you came in the game from records and cassette tapes,
right,
and you were making your $2 an album or whatever, and now you're down to 0.00 of a penny for one song, like that doesn't make any sense to you. Like logically, he's better off going on tour and selling one show and making his money from that versus streaming. And I don't think, as it stands right now, like streaming and stuff doesn't make sense for artists. it makes sense from a standpoint of, well, you want to be on services so people can get to you easily. But when it comes to getting paid and making this your job, this is not logical. It is a terrible system. It's not designed to move you forward. This is the perfect example of the 1% versus everybody else that's barely struggling to get by.
I keep telling people, there is a clear 1% in the Spotify sphere, right? And it's just like, hey, they understand that these artists, they have to work overtime so that these artists can get exposure so that they can make money, right? And this guy, Gary Newman, just looking at this article here, it's just like he made 0.00005 per stream. How much is? I don't even know how much is that. I mean, I don't even know how much that is, right? It's just
you got to think about how low that is for what the worth is to you. And a company like Spotify cannot exist unless people like Gary Newman puts his songs there.
Yeah.
And so because everybody else is putting their music there, it kind of the tide lifts all the boats, even though it shouldn't, because everybody's still in the mud while the tide is going up. And I think it's outrageous, and it's kind of shocking that Spotify is able to pay this low for the thing that they need. It's not like they don't need you.
Listen,
they need Gary Newman.
How is a company like this getting away? And and here in America, they're making it even harder.
Yes,
for artists to be creative.
Yeah.
That's
well,
insane.
the other thing too is that Europe is looking into this because they realize this is so bad. And I think because of 2020 and all the stuff that happened that year, people have complained, artists and musicians, whatever, they complained about how little they're getting from these streaming services. So regulatory Europe is going to get involved and look into this. So it may be wise for you to move over to Europe and only let your music play there.
It's weird. It's weird because when you do read or when you come across an article that talks about a government, doing something to investigate these streaming services, it's generally over in the EU somewhere, right?
Yeah. They're the only ones looking into that.
I mean, North America, they just don't give a hoot about us. They're just like, dude, these are major companies. They have lobbyists. They're paying us. I'm sorry, you have to take this 0.00005 cents and keep it moving, right? If he back in the day, if he had, let's just translate this into 1 million sales. If someone buys 1 million, singles, that's platinum, right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't understand, this whole new way. I mean, he's 62 and he doesn't understand this new way of like how music is done. He's thinking like, hey, I had 1 million streams, I should be doing well.
Yeah, something should come from it. But here's the thing, that this is the craziest part about this. He is in the top 10% of streams. I'll say the top 5% of streams, because the average is 100,000 streams. So to get 1 million is a big deal. It's like getting 500,000 to 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Like, it's a big deal if everybody's in the muck under 100,000. And so like the fact that he's this high and he still got this little. And see, the thing is though, this isn't the norm for everybody. Some people get a little bit better and some people get a little worse. So it's not the exact norm for everybody, but for him, it's eye-opening because this guy, he sold a crap ton of records and streaming treats him like it doesn't matter. He's making more money from the being in like Home Alone in the background than this. Like, that shouldn't be.
Still getting those royalty checks from Home Alone,
Yeah, the TBS royalty checks. Like, that shouldn't be, man. That shouldn't be, because this is right now. This is current streams. These are the things that came out this year, and that's how little he got. That's insane to me.
It's crazy, like this. Just talking about this this guy from Cars, Gary Newman, and one of them, just reading, coming down here, he basically says that this, the streaming companies should pay more. They're getting it for nothing. And this is what it's the same as, your data, right? They're a streaming service, a music streaming service. They need music to provide to their, customers, right? So their customers can continue being the product, right? So he makes a really good point. They're getting it for nothing. It's just like, you want to get your music out there, you have to put it on these platforms. Spotify is getting it for nothing. You have to basically go and search this person to, listen to their music, because they're not part of the 1%, which is, when you go to, Spotify or even Apple Music, whatever, Apple, Amazon Music, the 1% is in your face. As soon as you go to the, the application, it's in your face, it's right there.
It's in billboards when you're walking down the street. You can see them.
It's right in your face. It's in your face. Yeah. So so I don't know, man. This is very sad because, as an artist, we think about what we want to do. We, creativity is emotional. We put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in it. And, obviously things are totally different now because, the labels are the major labels just don't run it like they used to, even though they do really in the background because they own everything, right? And now we have to work twice as hard, just to get our music, exactly, just to get it heard. That's it. You're not even getting anything up front.
People like E40 was selling, cassette tapes out of the back of his trunk, and that's how he got to where he is.
Right, I remember that.
And there's a lot of artists, like Master P was doing the same thing. He's walking around, he printed his tapes, and he's like, "Yo, you want to buy a tape for me?" And it turned into this monster thing. But other thing I think about it too is that we're in a culture where everything is press of a button. I can buy a song pressing a button. Like the records back here, I had to walk to a store physically, dig into the thing, pick it up. Okay, this one's good. Put my money down, walk back home or drive home. Then I could put it on the record player and listen to it and whatever. Like, we're removed from that entire process. Yeah. What does it take to be a fan for a popular artist now? Just pressing like. That's it. It doesn't take anything else to be a fan. Just press like or press subscribe. And so that energy is so different for artists. And because artists are so, it doesn't take anything to do it, to follow them, to subscribe to them, to buy their music or to listen to their music, whatever. It's no effort. It's zero effort on your part. We're at the point where, what's the movie WALL-E, where everybody is in there, they're in the floating cars or they're in this floating chair, and everyone they're just in this chair drinking their shake. Right. We're there. Like, what does it take to go pay for something on Instagram or whatever? It doesn't take anything. It's your finger. You swipe with your finger, and that's it. That doesn't take any effort. And for artists to be creative and stuff like that in a culture where it doesn't take any effort to be a fan of yours, it makes it that much harder for this thing to work. You know what I'm saying? Like the people who I was telling my friend this, like, the people who win, they're probably the worst artists ever, but the best business people, and the best people can market themselves. Those are the people who win.
I mean, yeah, because you think about, there's this whole sort of like sphere on YouTube, even Twitter. They have this Black Twitter and everything, but there's this sphere on YouTube where a lot of Black YouTubers, they cover pop culture and all the raunchy stuff, right? Housewives and all that sort of stuff, right? And they also cover all these rap beefs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just rappers I've never heard of, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like you go to their Instagram and it's like they have 3 million followers, because they're doing lives and they're doing all this raunchy stuff. And it's just like, well, I've never heard of this artist before, And the song is just like, anyone can be a rapper now, and anyone could, can get 3 million subscribers if you want to be that raunchy, if you want to put yourself out there in a negative way, you know, and, you know, there's no real positivity about what you're doing. It's all about negativity and creating these beefs between each other.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
you almost have to have a beef.
Yeah.
I think the game changed with 50. 50 changed people's attitudes towards how you become successful. Because, you know, he was going at Ja Rule and all these New York rappers or whatever. And I think people looked at it like, oh, we need controversy. And the music industry, it's a bunch of sheep. They're like, we need 2 more of this thing. So if you think about it, like right now, you have Cardi B came out and they're like, well, we need more strippers. We need more stripper rappers. And this is the thing that everybody wants right now. And I sat across these meetings, man, this guy's like, well, we need more of whatever this artist is.
Yeah.
Make 2 more of that. And so like that's the attitude toward going forward, is that whoever was successful at this one thing, we need to duplicate it and then do it to death. And then, because do you remember in the 90s when there was all these artists that sound exactly like Tupac?
Yeah.
They had the bandanas and everything.
Yeah.
The there's like at least 5 or 6 of them. Yeah, everything. They're wearing the hockey jerseys.
The way the majors cannibalize themselves, you know, just again, like you were saying, you know, an artist is out, they're hot. The other label needs an artist exactly like the artist on the other label that's successful.
Yeah.
Because even if they're going to spend all that money for 1 year on this artist that sounds exactly like someone else, they're going to make that back because they're going to sort of pigeonhole the artist like, hey, here's $100,000, but you owe me that back with interest. You know, go ahead and make your video, but you know, now I own you for life. I own your masters for 30 years. You know,
deals.
You're right. So
it's brutal, man.
the only good thing about what's going on, well, not the only, but one of the great things about what's going on is, at least if the artists are smart enough now, they understand that they own their own masters. Hopefully, you know, everyone does at this point, because we're in a digital world, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. And but you know, actually this guy Gary Newman, he got a little bit more. 37 euros is about, you know,
it's like 50 bucks,
right? Right, about $50, you know. So he did make, you know, half of 100. So but he's probably like, right. Wow, you know, like, wow. I mean, there we go, dude. I mean, so this just goes to show you a power grab on big data, you know. Just this is a data grab. More data. They need more data. And also just totally screwing the artist by not paying them anything, because again, we're the product. Because, you know, we create we're not only the product, but we give them product to then collect more data. So we're like in a very bad situation, dude.
Yeah, you're better off. What's the comedian? Louis C.K.
Yeah.
So when he went through that bad patch, and you know, nobody would sign him, or he couldn't do any work. So this guy said, "All right, screw it. I'm gonna put my own special on my website. Come pay $5 for the special on my website." And people did.
Yeah.
Millions of people went to his website and paid the $5 or whatever it was to watch his special. And I think he made more money directing people to his website because he was blacklisted and shunned away from the industry. I think that was probably the best thing financially for him versus going through all this other stuff. You didn't need a manager. You didn't need a publicist for it. He was just like on Twitter, "Hey, I'm putting out a special. It's going to be on my website. Watch it if you want." That was it. Everyone freaked out, got all the publicity he needed, made $1 million from it, and he's good. And like, I think it's going to take that, you putting the stuff up on your own site, because think about how much does it take for you to make what 1 million streams is on Spotify. If, you know, 1,000 people just come to your website and buys your song.
Yeah.
You know, like what is the difference? You're better off just sending them directly to your website. Plus you can keep the data now. You got their emails and whatever else.
Right. You know, this actually blends perfectly into maybe another topic we can talk about, because right now what you're saying is Louis C.K. What he did was, and Prince did it too. He was like, yo,
Prince did it first.
Prince did it too, right? But he was like, hey, you know what? I recorded something myself. It's on my platform. Go check it out, right? And people had to pay to view it because he still has fans, Yeah. And he probably realized that because he owned every single aspect of that production, right? That he ended up making not like 100% of the money, and then being able to just pay people out himself. So
it's gonna be way better than what he would have done if it was on Netflix or whatever.
Right. Now, if you take that, even though Netflix may give him a huge bag up front, but now that content lives on your site and people can go to it anytime and continue paying you money, right? So
that Netflix is that one-time check, and then Netflix takes all of the profits from that.
Right. They don't give you any data,
you
nothing like that.
Over 2 years, 3 years.
You have no email addresses, nothing like that, right?
Yeah. You're just dependent on these guys. So it kind of makes sense where people need to move away from giving everything away to the tech companies and trying to do this on their own. But like the question becomes, well, how do you get them to move away from the Spotify or this company and go to your site now? And that's the $1 million question that I don't have the answer to. I don't know. But people, independent artists and smaller artists, cannot depend on these larger companies to do the heavy lifting for them. If they want to be successful, they have to build up their own thing and be independent like that. And see, the thing is, though, if you're a small thing, you can essentially make a record label and release other artists the same way.
Yeah.
Like it would work.
Now, Now, again, just talking about how these artists can, own every aspect of their own production and, really make money that way. Let's just talk about NAMM really quickly. NAMM Believe in Music 2021. And the reason why I want to speak about that is because, we're talking about owning, all the means of production in terms of your creativity. And, I did sort of my thoughts on NAMM 2021. And a lot of companies were not there. Why do you think a lot of companies did not attend NAMM?
Honestly, I think that a lot of these companies realized that if this thing was going to be virtual, they could probably get the same amount of traffic just posting it on YouTube.
Exactly. That is really it.
Because you're still paying like got a booth and all the whole 9 yards.
I think it was between $10,000 and $50,000.
Yeah, you're still paying the full thing. You're better off paying for some Google ads and just posting it on YouTube and call it a day.
Right.
I think this is going to be the death. That thing is going to be the death of conventions going forward. I don't know why anybody would feel like you need to be in person like this for this type of event. Like they maybe Pioneer will do, like Native Instruments used to do this thing where when they released the S8, they did this tour. And they went out to major cities, and then they had DJs come in and perform with it and show you how it works and stuff. Maybe, you can kind of do something like that. But even that's still cheaper. To pay a couple of DJs to go around there, how much would that cost? It wasn't cost as much as getting a booth at NAMM and going to all these cities. People come for free. Like when I went to the one here in Toronto, and it was packed. There's a lot of people there. And like they didn't have to do it. They posted it on the local the store where we go to buy gear. That's where they posted the information about this. That's it. It wasn't on the site. They didn't do out a newsletter. They didn't do anything. They just said on the store site said that, hey, this thing's going down and come check it out. And a couple of people came out, but the fact is that they would get more publicity doing a grand thing like that, because Native Instruments did it again for the D2. They did a that kind of tour thing. They did some DJs. They performed in some kind of rooftop, and they did a couple of mixes or whatever with it. But like that kind of thing is more valuable than going to a convention and standing around for a week. Honestly, that's
It
how I
really
look at it.
is.
Like
Yeah.
we're at the point of no return for these conventions things, especially because of the health issue.
Right.
I don't see why people would.
With Apple just straight smashing it, Apple said, you know what? This is the gold standard now.
Yes, absolutely.
This is the gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, the Rain 1 came out a week before NAMM.
Mm-hmm.
And they were not even at NAMM.
Yeah, nobody was at NAMM.
It was just like, dude, this is the perfect time.
Yeah.
A company that is so massive, like an M Music Brands, like a DJ specific, a DJ centric company. They can create an Apple type event and control the entire production, control everything and just put it up on YouTube. Much less expensive than, buying a booth, which can cost upwards, $250,000 and up at, a physical NAMM or something like that. I just think you're right. I just think that people are starting to realize like, yo, you know what? We could actually do this ourselves and create a better product.
Because what does it take to go put together a presentation about a new release? Like it doesn't take a lot. I'll be honest. Like the DJ does a routine, somebody does a voiceover, this is the thing, it has this new buttons, and that's it. 5-minute video. It doesn't take a lot to do this type of thing. And you could do a keynote, have the president of the company come out like that, how Apple does. You could do the whole thing, a good long 30-minute press conference. Yeah. I watched Sony just did a new release for their new camera, I think the A1, and they did the exact same concept. Virtual presentation, because normally Sony flies people up to see them. They did a virtual presentation. Then they sent everybody, all the main reviewers and those kind of people, they all got a care package with a jacket and the camera in it. And that's cheaper than flying all these people up there. Just mail it to them. It's way cheaper. And I think that's going to be the gold standard going forward. Forget the coof and all this stuff. Like there's no more virus. Everybody's good. Everybody's healed. I think this is going to be the thing going forward. This is going to get virtual, and that's it.
Well, they are doing a summer NAMM, so that's going to be interesting. I mean, you do have access to, the services that, just networking. You can still contact people as well if you wanted to. So you can still log into the account until the end of next month. So that's pretty cool. But it was just it was a little disappointing.
It didn't meet the hype that we expected.
Right.
Personally.
I mean,
I thought they would I don't think people utilized the networking thing. I only had a couple people reach out to me. And so like I did meet some people from it, but it wasn't how I thought it should be. Like, for when you like nothing was live, first of all, like everything was pre-canned. And I was like,
everything was pre-recorded. Most of in the stuff that was live, it was a very small portion of everything that was on this platform. Most of it was pre-recorded.
They had a lot of technical difficulties. A lot.
Dude, I mean, I don't know if you did. I don't know if you did any one-on-ones, but like the whole recording process for that, like I was saying, I had no ability to select my camera, my microphone. It was just like, this is, I mean, like, how do you expect the creator, the content creator, to then present a professional product on a YouTube or something like that?
You can't.
We can't. So
you can't. Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
Good. It wasn't good.
Yeah, it wasn't
very
great.
rough.
Yeah.
Naturally, I think the next version of this they'll work out a lot of the kinks, and they'll get. I sent a lot of feedback to them, so I wrote a paragraph or two about, hey, you need to do this. This is not working here, and I got a couple of emails from that. But like it was in its infancy because they weren't prepared.
It's new, right?
I think they really thought, well, we're gonna pull this off next year and it won't be an issue,
right?
Because they did do the 2021. And that worked without a hitch because you could meet in person then. Because it wasn't really until May where everyone started panicking and shutting things down.
March here, actually. They but they did do a physical 2020. So but they knew it was coming. They had almost a year to plan for this, but they got to get it right. Hopefully, if they're going to do it virtually and in the summer, they will, take some of this feedback and sort of put it to work and make the the whole experience a lot better. We will see. What do you have on deck, man?
Okay, so we got to talk about these Apple AirPods here.
Oh my goodness.
This thing, they made a premium
headphone.
Right? These spectacular headphones made from Zeus himself, all right? And they have a ton of major problems that make them almost useless.
Already.
So already, right off the bat, the first major problem was there's no on and off button. And so this thing can just drain power randomly. So I was like, okay, this is a problem. I looked at when they announced it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a problem.
Where's the? Wait a minute. Can you? And I also heard they're pretty heavy too.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. They're semi comfortable, but just because it's the metal frame and body, because every other headphone is using plastics or some kind of light material.
Right.
And this one, they use this aluminum thing.
It's premium.
This chassis is premium.
It's luxury. This is Apple.
Premium. You put it in your head, you're like, oh snap, this is great. Right.
Like, but I heard after time, it's heavy though too.
Yeah, it does. It does get heavy. It weighs like certain spots on your head. It weighs kind of thing, but it does sound good. So like in Apple fashion, it looks good, works as advertised. But there's kinks in the armor where they should have fixed it. That they just said, it's the Apple way, so it didn't matter. So there's two problems with this headset. First problem is the battery life, and you can't turn it on and off. The second problem is the design collects water.
Collects
water in the cups. That was designed for this headset. Collects water inside the cups.
So you mean get sweat or something?
No, it's not even sweat. I don't know where it comes from, but
where's the water coming from?
I don't know. It's not sweat per se because the cups are still dry and everything.
Right.
But inside the actual cups or the headphones, it collects water, like a substantial amount, so that you could turn the headphones over and water will pour out like a shoe or something like that. Like it's that bad. And so I think they're gonna have to do a recall or stop the sale and do something else about it, because these are two major issues here. It needs an off switch, and I think they may have to change the design for the future versions of the headphones.
What's up with not having an off switch though? I mean, like
I don't know.
The thing about so you put it in this pouch and it goes off, right? It starts charging.
Yeah.
Right? It goes this is Apple. This is luxury, right?
Yeah, it's luxury. But like so. The idea is that it has some technology and is using AI to know when it puts it in the pouch, it makes it go to sleep in this kind of state where it lasts along. So you can make it last like a week or whatever when it's in the pouch. Pull it off, full battery charge, good to go. However, there's some kind of bug in the software. I don't know if it's in the phone or the actual headphones that makes it randomly just drain all your battery out in like an hour or two. And so you add that with the water, and that is a cluster.
What is okay, see, this is weird. The water. I'm like the water. Where's that coming from? Where's it coming from? I mean, is there like a leak in the, is there a...
It's from you. It's human water. Like, it's definitely coming from you, but it's...
How am I putting water in my headphones? How are people putting water in their headphones?
Honestly, I've never seen anything like that. So like people have done tests on YouTube and said, okay, I'm just going to wear them. I'm not going to run around. I'm not sweating. I got the air conditioner on. Everything's nice and cool. Water still forms in the headphones. And so we're in this weird spot. Like they're going to have a recall or something crazy to have to deal with this, because the more people it happens to, because when you look at this stuff, say you sell 1,000 headphones, and 100 of them have issues. The rate 10% is not that bad technically when you have 400,000 sales. 10% is not that bad.
You just have to
when
send
it's a small number like
headphones.
That. Yeah, when the number is that small, people tend to notice a lot more.
Yeah,
and so you don't want the first couple people saying this thing is happening to you. and then trying to push this thing as a premium thing. So I don't know where this is going to go from here, but it's bad. They're in strategy meetings right now about what to do about this. It's looking bad. And
you think it's so bad that it'd be like a complete recall?
The water forming is a problem. It's a major problem.
Really?
It's happened to enough people that it's not a one-off or, oh, that guy just has sweaty ears. Like, it's not that. It's something, water's forming somewhere.
Damn, dude, your ears are wet.
Because it's not like in the cups or anything. When you take the cups out, it's in the actual body of it. So if it was just forming in the cups, you'd be like, well, we just replace the cups. It's like, when they had the Ben Gate where, Steve Jobs was like, you're holding the phone wrong. Right. Or it's the
you must hold the phone properly.
Yeah, you're like, you got to hold it like this. So you're holding it at the top. Like, that's not how you hold the phone. And so what they had to do, they gave you the bumpers, and like, it's that kind of issue where they're going to have to either change the cups or change something on their end to avoid a recall, because a recall would be disastrous.
You know what they could do? On the Apple Watch, there's a feature where you can, select this feature that sort of forces water out of like the watch, because, it's waterproof at a certain depth. So you can come out and you can just and what it does is it vibrates at a certain rate and it pushes the water out. So maybe that's a feature they can add to these, huge heavy headphones, which would be kind of weird,
It's another battery and some motors.
and they don't come with a cord either. So, but I do see people wearing them, and I do see people in like on video podcasts wearing them, and I'm just like, and again, people have said that they are heavy. This is a luxury tech brand, Apple, $550 for headphones. I don't know about that, right?
It seems a bit much. I know, now, like you're trying to take on all of these high-end headphones, and the two issues that you have are massive. They're not minor things. Because it'd be different if there's a cable and I just plug my phone in or whatever.
Yeah,
I would do that. I've done that. Like I have Bluetooth headphones I use on the subway or I'm on a trip or something like that on an airplane, and they last 20-something hours, but they also have a cable, and I can just take the cable out and plug it into my phone.
And they are light, made of plastic, everything else.
Yes. Yes.
I love those.
They're super comfortable.
Right.
They're great. And they fold up. That's the other thing too. I can just fold them up and throw them in my bag. And you can't do this with these. These are enormous headphones. So I think Apple kind of did this to themselves by being too Apple.
This is like $550 and they leak this and they leak. This sounds like a bad Saturday night, dude.
Yeah.
For real. You know, come on.
Right now.
I mean, what is going on with this here? This sounds a little weird for me.
This is not a good look right now. No.
I still want to know how the water gets in them. I mean, obviously the body is made of water, right? So maybe the technology is so good that it sort of pulls
That's
water.
That's possible too.
It
could be like a sponge or something. And it pulls it in. It probably is the cups. You gotta change the cups to whatever the thing's made out of on the cups. Like that's probably the issue here.
You mean the cushion? You can change the
cushions.
Too.
Yeah, you can change them, but they're all the same material, so it's just a different color. So I think they may have to change the material and make it like some kind of faux rubber or some kind of plasticky, like leatherish material that everybody else uses.
So this doesn't sound like a hardware. I mean, I'm sorry, a software issue. Like they can't put out a firmware update and it'll fix it. This sounds like hardware. Like you said, you may have to change out the cushions or there may be a recall. I don't think Apple would ever. Well, I'm not going to say
I think they're
going
to give you a complimentary version of a new pair of cushions.
Right.
If that's the problem.
Right.
They're going to give you like a new color or whatever.
Oh, you know what? Okay. So that, maybe the cushions, because, all the stuff comes from all these components. They come from all over the world, right? And then they're assembled in America.
Yeah.
So maybe that version of the cushions, maybe there is some sort of there's something in them that makes them leak, and that would be the thing to replace.
I mean, that's possible too, or it's drawing, water out of your body. I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but
that would be some real high-tech
people
stuff
have
right
people have, they look at it first because they don't want to make a video about this and get, called out for being wrong. So it's enough. I've seen enough videos and I've seen the complaints online about it. So like, it's enough people that, especially the influencers that did the reviews on them. So it seems to be something that looks kind of major. So we'll see where this goes, but I can't believe this happened to them though, because it's not like people are just have money to throw away right now. Everybody's on a budget.
Listen, let's just let's hope that this is, again, you made a very good point that it could be the cushions. They are replaceable. So maybe there was just something that bad, maybe there's something in the cushion that's leaking. And so maybe that's it, or maybe a component inside. But if they have to recall everything, well, they may not have sold a lot either because...
Yeah, they're expensive. I don't think they sold that many.
And they're still on back order, so...
Yeah.
Who knows?
They haven't really hit all of the people yet that got the initial orders. So, I mean, maybe they've sold maybe a couple thousand. I don't know how much they've sold yet. Wow. Apple doesn't give you those kind of numbers, but whatever it is, not everybody's having this issue. So it's still maybe 10%, 15% that has this problem out of the how many thousands they've sold. So a lot of people it's not an issue for them. But, it's bad publicity. They don't need that.
Yeah, and it's coming from Reddit. Don't let the Reddit people get...
Yeah.
They will, they've already shorted like a stock and just, sent hedge funds like into bankruptcy.
Do not play with Reddit right now. Yeah.
Like, dude, you may want to, try to fix those as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this Prolink. And this is what's interesting about Prolink is some guy just, geeked out and typed it out, over a few weekends in his crib. That's
he basically reverse engineered Pioneer's software to get the export of whatever information they give out for your songs, which is clever as hell. So I give him a lot of credit for that. That's crazy. And so he has it, and there's other software and this kind of thing. Like it's not unique to any particular brand or whatever. You can do this on Virtual DJ, and I think there's a plugin for Serato to do this. But if you're using any kind of standalone type system, you're not able to do this for you. And for streaming and this kind of stuff, this is a cool feature that it gives value to your stream. Because a lot of times you're just playing a song, nobody knows what song it is. It's some weird remix no one's ever heard of before, and it's impossible for them to find it. And you're helping to promote these people too by doing these streams. And I think this is a cool idea to help these guys get. How we were talking before. How do you get found out? This kind of stuff is cool. This helps people find you.
Right. When I was reading this, I was thinking two things. Right. So the person, he's pulling the data from the Ethernet, right? Just the Prolink, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing was like, you can only use this if your device has an Ethernet port, if you could do the Prolink, right? So the flagship, Pioneer DJ controller, which is the one I have back here, the XDJ XZ, it can't happen on that, right? Really silly, right? But again, that's not something that Pioneer built or created or developed. So when I heard that, I was like, well, wait a minute. Couldn't you just pull that data from a USB plug as well?
I think you can, but Pioneer would have to do that. I think that it's a lot easier to figure out what the protocol was out of the Ethernet because, you connect a lot of these controllers or whatever through the Ethernet port. Pioneer uses that.
Right. Go ahead.
So it's still the same thing out of the USB, but I don't think he had the skills or whatever to figure out what Pioneer software is saying to go
right.
remove
See,
that.
because I mean, like if you're using a controller, it's connected to your software via USB. Then there's data transfer, right? So there is a way to pull that. I mean, like, you know, you're selecting the track from your controller. It's pulling in all the metadata, the artist, everything else.
Well, so if you're using an HID mode, it's the same thing.
Right,
you know, the
exactly.
HID mode is literally the same thing.
Right, exactly.
So it's possible. So like I think I was thinking that all of the DJ software needs to get behind these kind of plugins, and you know they don't have to give you the APIs for the whole software or whatever, but stuff like this is helpful for, you know, people doing streaming, and this is the only way we can play right now. So the first DJ software that uses this type of thing, that's baked in, I think they're gonna win because it's a cool feature for the people streaming. If you can do some kind of plug-in or app or something that pops up on your screen that you can show, I think it's a good idea.
I think so, and this is my other second point that I was thinking. So my first point is I think you could probably do this with using the pulling data using the USB connection because there's data transfer there. My second point is like, does this even matter, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is because, I mean, you're getting kicked off of streaming services anyway, you know? So I mean, and again, I mean, I just love the fact that he, you know, just was like geeking out, like typing out some code and like freak something out. That's pretty dope, you know? But I mean, can you do this on YouTube? Sure you can. I mean, you may get dinged, you may get kicked off, whatever. You know, your content may be taken off. Can you do this on a Facebook? Probably not. You can do this on Mixcloud Live. You know, they're out of beta now, so you can do it on something like that. But you're speaking to the choir, as we said. Can you do it on Twitch? I don't know. You know, so it's just like, okay, so you have this service or you have this like API is pretty cool. But is it really going to matter when the only true platform to do a live stream legally is Mixcloud?
Yeah. It's a problem. This thing, we're in this gray area and people are tolerating DJs being on these platforms, but outside of Mixcloud, I don't think anybody really wants them there. They want the business and they want the money from it, but they could care less if they're there or not. Realistically, DJs are a headache to all of these platforms because they got to keep dealing with this licensing thing and make new fees or whatever to get over it. And so like I honestly feel like YouTube, whatever, would be happier if DJs weren't on there doing these things. So like it's a cool feature. We can never really get the benefit of using it for the time being, as long as these guys are going to be this anal about, you know, playing music online. So I don't know.
You know, I have I don't know if maybe it's just me, but I am seeing more DJs streaming, you know, doing sets on YouTube.
Oh, for sure.
Like, how are they? How is that happening? You know,
well, YouTube is not really focusing on it right now. There's DJs that I subscribe to that they do mixes online and they don't have any problems. They got the last sets for the last 4 years are online, and I don't think they have any issues. YouTube, the thing about YouTube is that as long as you're not licensing, you could play the songs on there. So they don't have a problem with you playing it. You're just not going to get any kind of licensing, or you can't make any money from it. So
you can't monetize the and see that's what I'm saying.
You can't monetize it.
Right.
You can definitely play it, but you can't make any money from it. So if you try to do some kind of Streamlabs or some kind of system where, you know, you collect some kind of fees or whatever, people can give you tokens or whatever it is, whatever the system is, they won't let you do that on YouTube if you keep getting dinged for these kind of things. So if you just wanted to put the mix up, you could, and they will let you do it. If your channel's monetized, YouTube will just take the money from what they were giving to you to take it to them. The problem is that if one of these labels decides to be a joker about it, they can make you lose your channel. So it's like a risk people don't really want to take. But technically, you can definitely play music on YouTube and it will be fine. But, is it worth it? Because the other thing too is that if you keep getting these dings on your channel, they're gonna treat you as a troublemaker,
right? Exactly.
And they're not gonna show you in the search and that kind of stuff.
That's why, like I was saying, it's just like I was making these DJ sets, I was pre-recording them. My boy was throwing some motion graphics on top of them, and would just say, hey, there's a copyright claim on this, just basically saying that someone owns this.
Yeah.
But if you get enough of those, they're just like, you know what? We have to kick you off. And then you've worked so hard to build your channel. Yeah. So again, like I said, is it worth it? Like, no, it's just like, you know what? I don't even have the time for this, to even deal with this, like, ridiculousness. And I don't even want to deal with it, So it's, I'll just wait until, we're back to normal and I can DJ inside of, I can DJ and get paid. Right?
Yeah. 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 I think we have to figure out a way to you play outside in a garden somewhere and have your Cash App on top of your laptop and have people give you donations like you're a busker or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
New York subway. Like that's going to be the system going forward. Throw me some coins from your phone.
Well, even like on YouTube, if you were trying to, if they demonetize your video because you had copywritten, content on it, you can also have a join button where people can pay to just to, just as a donation, just to support you. I guess that'd be turned off too, huh?
Yeah, if you can run into trouble from you, like it's not guaranteed, because I follow people who have like 400,000 subscribers and they're fine. They don't have any issues playing their music and their mixes online. The other thing too is that Google's algorithm doesn't see you if you play it slightly pitched up and a little bit faster. It doesn't match it. So that's all you got to do. If your BPM is 100, make it 105 and do not put the pitch key thing on. You're good. You won't have any problems. But, like eventually they're going to catch you. So
maybe that's why I didn't have any problems. Because I used to like my sets were at 120 beats per minute, right? And so I would even take a track that was just, just some ridiculous techno house that was at 130, 135 beats per minute. But if I slowed it down to 120, it's real deep and it sounds sick. So I guess YouTube wouldn't pick up that because it was just pitched down like so much. But again, who wants to go through all that, It doesn't make sense to me.
I would prefer that it wasn't this gray area and, people can make money from it and it's legal. Everybody's happy. Labels are happy. The artists are happy. DJs are happy. I want that. I think that, honestly, we're at the point where we're not a big enough voice. The DJs are complaining to themselves. They're not trying to lobby anybody to do anything about it. And, the labels don't really care about us because they're like, we got Spotify. We don't need DJs anymore.
Right.
So
Spotify's jerking them enough for making us money.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's in everybody's interest to make this thing work, but I think that they just don't think we matter anymore to them. So nothing's going to change until we start lobbying and trying to make some kind of, we have to push the change we want. I want to get social justice on it, but like that's what you have to do. Nobody cares about DJs on this level, and so that's what it's going to take.
Now, getting to DistroKid. Now, I don't know if you heard of a company called United Masters. That's a company owned by Steve Stout, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's a digital distributor. But what he does is he has sort of contracts with the NBA. And he also tries to connect artists to labels and things of that nature, right? So it's more hands-on. It's basically, his company selecting specific, artists that they feel they can make money from, and then promoting that artist to different labels to, sort of do it that way. So it's, it's like an A&R management sort of thing, but, just in a totally different, way of doing it, in terms of today, right? So DistroKid is basically doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. They're starting something called Upstream. It's basically the same thing, they're calling it matchmaking, and that's sort of what United Masters do too. It's just like, hey, if you and he also has artists that he's grooming as well, so he's putting artists out there, right? But it's the same thing. It's like, hey, you know what, this artist is actually coming up, let's connect them to this specific label, and there's a major that already signed up with this, a sub of a major that signed up for this. And one of the things that they're doing is they're doing data mining. It's all about data when it comes to it, dude.
Yeah.
In the end, it's all about data.
That's the only thing that matters anymore. That's the currency.
The only thing that matters. I'm serious. Yeah. So they're collecting the data from your different platforms. So basically, when you sign up for a DistroKid, sort of account, you put in all this information, like your social media, like URLs, your YouTube, and they pull all that information, find out how many subscribers you have, how many followers, and see how your song is doing or your music is doing, see what sort of lives you're doing. And then they sort of then connect you to like the labels, right? And I'm just like, okay, so, and this is called Upstream. And I'm like, okay, so now, DistroKid is getting into the whole management game, but they're also saying this. They're saying once we make the connection, then we're done. We're not the middleman. So they're saying, hey, we're done. You're just in our platform, and I don't know if like Upstream is going to be an extra charge, but once you're there, then they say we are done. We are not dealing with you anymore. So that's kind of cool. DistroKid is kind of upfront with that. Like, pay us $20. You can, do whatever you want to. What do you think about this whole? It's a new way for artists to get in front of the labels. Remember back in the day, we used to pull phone numbers and addresses off of vinyl, and then go up to the label and just wait outside with a tape, and just like, please listen to my demo.
Yeah, you basically the real method for how people got signed back in the day, you had to know somebody, and that person will walk you into the label.
Right.
And they were that middleman type job. Right. And that's how we got our record deals. Somebody walked us in and sat us down with the right people, and that was it. Right. It was nothing. It wasn't like, oh, we listened to your music. They didn't even listen to the music yet before they're like, okay, what do you got to say here? It's just because of who did it. Right. And, this is technically the same concept, just in a 21st century new kind of way. And I think it's a good idea, because a lot of artists and a lot of new people that are just making music, they don't know how to do the business part of it and how to make the connections with people. And the connections are way more important than your music at this point, honestly. Right. If you don't know the right people, it's not going to matter how good your song is. It's irrelevant.
And just to add to what you're saying right now is, again, like you said back in the day, people had to introduce you to an A&R, had to introduce you to a manager, because, or you had to stand outside and wait for the person to come by and for them to take your CD, right? Or your tape, right? Because when you sent music to labels, that was unsolicited, right? Yeah. So then they would just go in a tape box. They were never listened to, right?
They threw those things away.
They threw them away. That's unsolicited music, right? Right. Yeah.
So either you came through a lawyer, or somebody has a good connection with somebody at the label,
or you waited outside and you saw the person, like a secretary or something, like, hey, please listen to my demo. They take it. It's solicited, then they give it to someone else. So this is, like you said, I do think it's I do like the fact that they're just creating the platform for you to connect with majors. I mean, again, I don't know how that's going to work. I haven't really logged in and taken a look at it. But I also like the fact that they said, we're going to make this connection, then we're done.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
Because they don't have their hands in your pockets for the next 20 years. They're like, here's
Give
my
me
fee.
1 point.
We got you here. Know? Go forth. Be fruitful and multiply. Like, just like, get out of here. Like, I like that. I really like that concept. And that's what it used to be. It used to cut, when you got your deal, you used to cut whoever got you there a check. That's it. Now is it. They're like, peace out.
One off. Yeah.
One off. And everybody's happy. And they go on about their business and they help the next person meet this. Like, it was great. I like that. But, we kind of lost that connection to getting to the right people and meeting these people now. So, you can tweet them. You can make what I don't even think that kind of stuff really is effective. Like on my Twitter account, I get a bunch of messages on there and like, hey, can you help me get spins? I'm like, how? Where am I gonna get you spins from? Like, I'm not important, but everybody's just doing that. They're just like a buckshot. They're just shooting it against the wall and hoping something hits.
I get emails, 2-3 emails a day, just people who go to the website and send me emails. Hi, I'm this artist from Philly, and I have an album I would like for you to, take a listen, and review maybe. And it's just like, I mean, I don't know, but a lot of it's hip hop too. But the thing about one of the things that, I mean, it's not disturbing, but one of the things that's a little something to just think about is, the majors, if they are interested in the artist, they want to see what sort of social footprint does this artist have? What sort of digital footprint does this artist have? Does this artist have like a huge following on Instagram? Does this artist have a huge following on YouTube and yada, yada, yada? That makes sense. Because if they do, then that means that they have the ability to push, music and new content to their followers, their subscribers, and make the labels money. So, it's one thing to say, I'm a major, I like you as an artist, but you have no digital footprint. So we have to do a lot of work, right?
Yeah. Well, it's the basics still that they're going to do that anyway. They just prefer if you did all the heavy lifting for them and they can just nudge you over.
Right.
And so like that annoys me. I've shopped artists at record labels before and, they're like, well, what's your SoundCloud looking like? And well, the song's more important than the SoundCloud. Right. SoundCloud can come. The fact that you signed us makes the SoundCloud come. Right. So like, that's the kind of thing that it kind of annoyed me. It was always the chicken versus the egg type situation here. And I've dealt with it with producers and artists, and the labels want you to do all of the heavy lifting to get you to the place where you don't need them, and that's when they want to jump in and to sign you and take over your thing. Because realistically, they want you to be large enough that you have enough, you can generate money on your own. You have a following. You can sustain yourself.
They want and a 360, they want to come in.
They want a 360. So now that you're here and you're large enough, you have your own fans, you're making money, bought a house with the money you're making. Now they're like, okay, let's help this guy get to the next level. But he's at the next level already.
Right.
So it drives me crazy with this. And it's one of the reasons why I think the labels they're sputtering along the way they are, is because they're not trying to find the lightning in the bottle. They want to find it after it's already a thing and then take over the thing. And that's not going to work. Like long term, there's no long-term strategy for that. So like, I think this is a good idea because people they're not fully there yet. They're not fully fleshed out, and they just need the nudge or the right connection to the right person to take them to the next level. And I think this will work.
Talk to me about this Waves VR app. I'm sorry.
So
let me, okay, wait a minute. Because, dude, it says, okay, they shut it down because they say the artist needs an audience to thrive. Now, you know what? Someone said that, hey, you know what? Maybe you can create this, festival experience via VR, right?
Yeah.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
You can't touch people. You're not embedded, you're not around, surrounded by the culture, you're not touching, there's no sweating. There's no thumping from the sound system, right?
Nobody wants to be with two glow sticks in their kitchen like this. Like, they want to be in front of people. Like,
and then on part 2 of Virtual DJ, one of the commenters said, no. It was the sort of the first chat we had. One of the commenters said that we were talking about live streaming. He said, you can actually live stream on Second Life, right? And I said, is that still around? Right? It's just like he said, you can live stream on Second Life. It's not the same. So what is this? What is this whole wave thing anyway?
Okay, before I get to that, they've been doing concerts this entire summer on Fortnite. So Travis Scott played there. Yes, top artists in the country have done concerts on Fortnite. So in between shooting people with this game, they go to this area and they have their avatar go up and down and they're dancing, whatever, to this person performing in a virtual concert with their own avatar.
Like an avatar.
Yes, with the avatar thing. And so, like, it's a thing. It's not what they want it to be, because that's a novelty for these guys who are there for something else. Now, they paid their, whatever their thing for all their crap to get into. I don't want this Fortnite, but like they paid all their money to be into Fortnite. So, the game is free, but they paid all this extra stuff to be there, to get their costumes, whatever. So those people are invested into Fortnite. They're not invested into Travis Scott doing a concert in Fortnite. So people are like, oh, it's successful. 1 million people watch, because they're already there for something else. And so they're getting the wrong message from this. The VR thing on its own, as you can see, failed miserably because it was almost impossible to get people to go to this VR thing and put the goggles on and listen to music in your bathrobe or whatever. The feel and the goosebumps and stuff that you get from a concert is from being there. And a lot of times, even when you're watching a concert, you're watching the audience. They show you the audience, and that gives you the goosebumps. It's the other people there too. So, if you're the empty stage and you're just watching somebody sing a song or whatever, it's just not the same. It has this empty energy. That's the thing that was bothering me with the Tomorrowland thing. They put in fake audience because they knew if it was just, Tiesto standing on a stage and he's got wave your hands in the air or whatever, and he can't see anybody waving hands, it doesn't matter. Like, DJs, we thrive off of the energy we get from the crowd.
Energy,
I love that.
You can you can just
start
be
dancing
and
I just like it gets me hyper. I'm like, I gotta play more. I gotta do something better. Like
there could
that
be
energy makes me
right. There could be a girl in the crowd, a woman in the crowd who's peeping you out, and you're like, oh, you're peeping her out too, and you're like, playing specifically for her, even though everyone else don't even know that. I mean, a lot of times I play specifically for one person, just like
I do that too.
Yeah,
the
just
person
like,
who's having the most fun.
Right, that's who I'm playing for.
Person.
Right, exactly. But, the other thing is this, right? Because I don't even think Facebook's Oculus is doing that great. I think if someone's going to do AR, VR really well, I kind of think it may be Elon Musk or Apple. But, when you have these sort of, people trying to use this technology to create these experiences like festivals and things like that, and it's like, hey, VR, it's just like, now you want people to go out and purchase VR headsets, right?
The thing. It's kind of like, they have the silent discos where everybody puts the headphones on.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, they're still in person. It's not the headphones that made it a good party. It's them being in person in front of the person dancing. That's the thing that you're missing, and you need that. You
but
cannot do
those
this
are even weird, and those are even weird to me, because it's like, first of all, if you're doing the event, you got to purchase the headphones. You're not reusing them, right? So you got to get some really cheap ones, and it's just like, oh, well, why does it have to be silent anyway, right?
Yeah. Well, I think they did like the zoning thing. They're trying to do raves under the ground where they can't get in trouble for having it. Just some random people show up somewhere and they're dancing. Which that's cool. I totally understand that. But like the VR thing is a hell of an investment.
Yeah.
You're talking, you need a computer that can run it.
Right.
First of all, you need a computer that can run it, and then you need the $400 headphones. And so the market for the people who would go to, say, the hear either of us DJ, they're not going to spend $1,500 on a computer and then $400 for the goggles and the headset and that stuff. They're not going to do that. So you're talking $2,000 investment just to get into the front door. Nobody's going to do that.
Explain, like, what was this all about? I mean, was this a concert? Was it just like, people checking out a DJ? I mean, what was it all about anyway?
Investors put money together because they thought that this thing would be the future for people to throw events at home. So, it allowed artists or whatever to kind of do a virtual type concert and get you the feel of being at the concert without being there. So they sunk like $30 million into it. And, they discovered that from the feedback from the people who did use it, is like, it's not the same thing as being at a concert. It's not.
Oh, really?
I saw Jay-Z. Actually, I went to the Hard Knock Live concert, and the first one they did. And, that was the one with Method Man, Redman, Ja Rule, DMX. That concert was incredible. It's the best concert I've ever been to in my life. And, like, just the energy, people, the people in the aisles, they're helping you, the ushers in the aisles were doing DMX lyrics like this. And like, it was hype. Like, the energy is off the chain. Like, you can't get that by yourself sitting in the living room.
Never.
It's never going to be the same. Even if they pump in the audio, it's like, it reminds me of the football games when they had the empty stadiums and they played the sounds of a crowd.
Right.
But like, I'm just looking at that, like, that's not the same, man.
Yeah, it's like when they were in a bubble, like playing a basketball, and you hear the crowds. It's not the same, dude. I'm serious.
It's not the same.
It's
artificial. Not the same energy. Yeah. The football got more interesting during the playoffs when people were actually there and they could cheer in the correct place they're supposed to cheer and boo in the correct place they're supposed to boo. Just having the audio didn't work.
Do you think that this whole this VR sort of experience, that, because this isn't the first company. Wave isn't the first company. And again, we're not talking about waves. We're not talking about waves. We're talking about Wave, So this isn't the first company. Companies are trying this. They're trying to create this concert or festival experience via VR. I just think right now, and probably over the next 5 to 10 years, it's just not going to happen.
10.
Yeah,
I say 10.
It's not going to happen because, like we've been saying, you go to the concert, you went to the Hard Knock tour,
Yeah.
I would go to a club, we'd be spending, specifically for a person in the crowd because that's the person who's really dancing to everything we play. They're kind of hyping the crowd up. We go out to these spots because we want to be part of the culture. We want to rub elbows. We, want to sweat. We want to, leave a club at like 6, 7 a.m. in the morning with shades on because we've been partying for like 6, 7 hours. You're not getting that, like you said, sitting on a sofa, with some headsets on, That's not going to happen. That is 5 to 10 years. And I think 5 years is really short. But I think 10 years, who knows? It may not ever happen.
Listen, humans are social.
Yeah.
Humans are meant to be in public and talk to each other and touch and to be near each other. Yeah. So And the other thing too is that, you know, we've had an off year for DJs and this kind of thing, but people want to DJ. They want to people be in person and go back to a club or a party where they want this bad. And so people are doing it on the underground. They're doing illegal raves and parties on the low. Like 1,000 people show up. Like, you're not, if that's the attitude people have, that they're willing to risk getting sick to go to a rave somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you're not going to get to the point where, oh, I'll just throw a VR headset and it's the same thing. The VR headset is the same thing. And you're not going to be there. This generation, you cannot wean them off of being in public and being together. The first chance they get when you're saying, oh, this bar is open, you can go in there and listen to music, people are going to run.
Right.
It's like, they'll walk. They are going
you
to
got
run
your 2 doses,
there.
so you can go out now.
Yeah, exactly. The second they get a shot, the chance to go and be in public again with other people, it's like being in like some kind of sequestered on an island somewhere. You got your Wilson ball. You're just by yourself. Like, people want to be social.